Hey, brand builder, Rory Vaden here. Thank you so much for tuning in to listen to this interview. We are so excited to bring you this information and wanted to let you know that, hey, there's no sales pitch coming from anything that we do. This is all our value add to you and the community. However, if you are somebody who is looking for specific strategies on how to build and monetize your personal brand, we would love to talk to you. And we offer a free call to everyone that's interested in getting to know us and is willing to give us a chance to get to know them and share a little bit about what we do. So if you're interested in taking us up on a free strategy call, you can do that at brandbuildersgroup.com/summit call. brandbuildersgroup.com/summit call. Hope to talk to you soon. On with the show.
Oh my gosh. I love D'Arcy Benincosa. You're going to love this woman. She is so fun and so cool and so intelligent and a true professional. So she has been, I think, one of the most sought after destination luxury wedding photographers in the world. But out of that, she's also become a very well-renowned business coach, specifically for creatives. And that's part of why we brought her on here today. So she and I met through a mastermind that she was involved with. And then she became a client of Brand Builders Group. And I'm always kind of like, why are you a client? You're so amazing. But she's so humble and she's such a student that way. And then she was in one of our events and everyone started asking her all these questions. And it was like, oh my gosh, we have to just get D'Arcy in front of all of you so that you can learn, because she's done a ton. Okay, so she's, as a photographer, I mean, she's been featured in so many different things, and as kind of a business coach or teacher. She's been featured in HuffPo, ABC, NBC, The View, Upworthy. I mean, her photography has been in every major wedding publication like Martha Stewart and Harper's Bazaar and Style Me Pretty. So she's got a master's degree. So she has that interesting balance of like classic education. Like me, I have a master's degree, but also really am more of an entrepreneur. And anyways, I'm just excited for you to meet the energy that is D'Arcy Benincosa. So welcome to the show.
Oh my gosh, it's such a privilege to be here. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for that introduction. I've done a lot in 40 years.
Well, you don't look 40 at all.
Sunscreen.
Yes. And so I guess there's so many things I want to ask you about, but I think that the place that we should start, just to like get right to what is probably most relevant for our audience is I think that of all of our clients, you're one of the people that is really well experienced with video courses, creating them, pricing them, launching them, promoting them. And so like, I think maybe we just dive in with that. So how many courses, give me an idea of what percentage of your business come from courses and how many courses do you have? And just give us the overview of what courses mean in D'Arcy's world.
Yeah. So for a long time, I was just shooting weddings. I think a lot of us just offer a service, right? I was out shooting weddings, doing brand shoots. I was so good at storytelling. And of course, as always happens, when you get really good at something, people who want to be good at it start inquiring, hey, can you teach me how to do that? Can you teach me how to do that? And I realized as a business person, yes, I was tied to photography, but I knew I didn't want to be shooting weddings when I was 70. So I thought, this is a great new avenue of another client I can serve. So I started creating the education and creating ways of helping photographers book clients. So at first it was about 0%. Then I would say the year I finally decided to launch a course, it became a third. I launched a course
like the
with my
first
audience.
year.
I had a 6-figure launch my first time launching something, because I really didn't launch until I had served my audience for a couple of years. And that launch was huge for me. I didn't do any paid advertising either. That's what
Wow.
blows my mind. So
Wow.
all my clients were just ready to buy what I had to offer because I had been serving them. And I think making sure you don't launch too soon
Mm,
before you've served them enough, before they want, there's so many laws to marketing, talked about. The law of reciprocity is a big one. Make sure you've given so much to them, but that by the time you launch something, they are just ready to buy from you because you've served them so well. And I think
mm.
that's what happened with my first course. And then I got really zealous. And right after that, I created another one. And I think I did that a little too soon. But then I started listening to what they were asking, and I I started creating things that I did really well that I didn't realize people would pay me to learn. Like I thought, oh, this isn't a big deal. And then it turned out to be something everybody needed help with. So I have a lot of courses. I'll be honest. I have probably more than a lot of people recommend, but they do really well.
Interesting. Okay, so that when people hear course, like how many videos, I know this is such a basic question, but like how many videos are in a course? How long do they have to be? How professional, like how professionally shot do they have to be? Like, do you have to rent a studio and go do it with like full lighting? Can you do it on your phone? Like, just give us a sense of that, and maybe correlate it with price points, because I'm sure it's like the
Yeah.
answer is it depends. It can be all those different things. But just since you've actually had so much different experience, like how would you kind of price, different modalities and volumes and that kind of thing?
So let me tell you my lowest price course and my highest price course. So my lowest price course
Perfect.
is $49. It includes 15 videos that are each about 6 to 12 minutes long.
Say that
It's
again. How many?
15 videos
Okay.
that are each 6 to 12 minutes long.
Okay.
And it's a very niche course. It's teaching photographers how to shoot and meter film. Do you remember film?
I do
Not
remember
really.
film, but I don't know what meter film is. Is that just what like the old
Most
film is?
people, yeah, most people shoot digital, but film is making a comeback, especially with hipsters. I've always shot it. So I'm teaching people how to meter light for their camera to shoot film. Okay. I do it really quickly, really succinctly, and it's a $49 course. I put it cheaper because it's really easy. It's quick to get through. And I wanted them to have an experience with me so they could see how I was as a teacher. And
Hmm.
that one, I just have one video from the course on YouTube. It's the most searched YouTube term by photographers. You guys might not get it, so don't get lost in the language, but it just says how to shoot and meter film. And that's exactly what they type into the search bar. And I
And
don't
that's
even
the
have a funnel.
title of your video.
That's the title of one of the videos in the course that I put on YouTube. And then I have a link to buy the $50 course, and I sell a couple of those a week. They've paid for my groceries. That course has paid for my groceries since I put it up in 2017. And the awesome thing about that content is it never changes.
Hmm.
Shooting film is a thing that is always the same. How to do it is always the same, which is awesome to have as a course
So
because
your whole funnel there is one of the videos in the course you
mhm,
made publicly available, and then
mhm.
you have what, a link in the description and like
Yeah.
a card that
Basically,
slides
like
out.
if you want to learn more in depth, this is what I cover. Click here to buy the course because there are a lot of other videos on YouTube like that, but mine is the best. I'm a really good teacher and I did my research well and I made sure I was very clear and so it's a 12-minute video. It has almost 100,000 views and people are watching it every single day and it goes, yeah, and that's one of the funnels, one of
And
the
so it's not
easy
even
video
like, it's
funnels.
not even really a marketing, it's the actual video in the course itself. And then if you want more, boom, and you click and you go to a sales page that tells what's in the course, or do you go straight to a
Yeah.
shopping cart?
Yeah, pretty much to, I think, a landing page in Kajabi that then tells what's in the course and they can just buy it.
Got it.
And yeah.
And did you
Yeah.
shoot it on your iPhone,
And
or,
that one
I
I
mean, you're a
used.
photographer, so you have a little bit of an advantage with the production quality.
So I used to make a ton of YouTube videos and I would rent out a studio for like $300 and pay my friend $300 and he would come in and we would shoot all day long, 12 hours a day. We were in a
Mm.
studio that had light and then he would go and edit all the videos. So I created that course in about 2 hours. I just wrote down everything people needed to learn. I got up, I taught it. I didn't need a lot of cue cards for that one. I had my meter, I had my camera, and that one was really easy. And I could run paid ads to that if I wanted. I just have other things that I run ads to. So that one had just, I love seeing how it performs on YouTube.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay, so what's your most expensive one?
So my most expensive one is the one without me. So I do coaching with me, but without me, it's $14.95. It's $1,495. It's called the Marketing Map. And it's basically how to market yourself as a creative with really tried and true services. Um, if you are just a service, because so many of these things that teach you are like, you have to have a product or a course or anything like this. And this is basically like, I have a service. If I was a photographer, so these are photographers, different kinds of creatives that have one service to offer. How do you market that?
Mm.
And it goes through very in-depth how to market that. And that I launched, I did
So hold on.
it
So
differently.
one thing
Okay.
just for y'all listening, because this is interesting, because in our phase 1 event, we talk about 5 ways to monetize a personal brand, and we call them the PAIDs, PAIDS. But then, the S is services, and we talk about how the fastest path to cash is a service, is your
It
time
is.
for money, but it's the least scalable. And I think that's really, really unique, because you're right. Everyone teaches you how to sell one of the other ones, but to actually get more gigs if you're a singer, or get more bookings if you're a photographer. Um, so that's really specific. So how many videos are in it, and how long is it, and all that?
Yeah. And I will say really quickly, most people come to me with only knowing how to sell their services. And what
Mm.
I teach in the Marketing Map is, yes, here's how to sell your service. But then I also give them a lot of ideas for how to eventually bring in passive income. Because the way I serve my clients is, let's monetize your service. Let's get you making 6 figures at least, because everybody's working way too hard to not least be making 6 figures. And then let's open up your mind and let that creative genius flow for how you can eventually change your business model to not be so service based, so you can not work so hard. And but a lot of people at the beginning of their businesses, service based. I think that's where we all kind of start, and then we learn what our gifts are. So that one is 6 maps. So I call them maps instead of modules, because I'm a destination wedding photographer, travel, all of that stuff.
Okay.
So it's 6 maps, and in each map there are 4 videos. And then I update that with very good master classes about every quarter. So I have genius SEO people come in, genius, Google Analytics people come in, blogging people, things like that, where I'm always serving that audience by recording new master classes as well.
Oh, okay. So that's kind of, you include them in like a growing archive of just specialty classes. How
Yeah,
many? So, but then the set part of it is 4. You said
it's
it's
6
6
maps
modules,
with 4
4
videos each.
videos. So it's
hmm
24 videos. How long are
hmm
they?
I know most people say only do like 10-minute videos. I think you need to know how compelling you are. And I happen to be a really good storyteller. So some of my videos are up to 25 minutes long,
Okay.
maybe 30. I didn't plan them that way. I just had so much to share on that, but I try not to overwhelm. So they're very well organized. They're very much by topic, and they very much lead on a journey. Now, I could have included another 40 videos of content, but you want to make sure you don't overwhelm your audience. And one thing you really want to make sure with courses is that people can finish it, because they feel successful when they finish it. And I have a very big
Mm.
mission to help people finish their courses with me, because how many of us buy a million courses and don't finish them. I have been guilty
Mhm.
of that. And so I like to make my clients feel very successful, feel very much like I led them on a very targeted journey that isn't all over the place.
Well, I think the thing that's interesting to me is you go, that one is 24 videos. Your other one, the $49 one, is 15 videos. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not really about the quantity of videos. It's priced more upon the value of the information
Mm-hmm.
to the person about what how translatable this information is into helping someone make money from what you're teaching them.
Yeah, I think so. Because with the how to shoot a meter film, I'm teaching them one basic skill. That skill could or could not bring them income into their business. It's
Mm,
more like this could be a hobby. This could be something I just want to learn for fun. The marketing map, if they follow what's in there, that teaches them how to have a $500,000 photography business, which is, and they could scale it to even more, but that's basically where I'm coming at it from, because you can't make more than 500,000 if you only offer services. That's my opinion in photography, because you'd be shooting all the time and you wouldn't have enough time to edit and all of these things. So it's basically how to scale to that, with the idea of, hey, if you want to then, after the services, bring in passive income and stuff, it hints at that, but it doesn't niche to that.
okay. So then for this one, let's talk about the marketing map, or just the one that's $14.97. So how do you market it? And you said you had a 6-figure launch, your
Mm-hmm.
first launch. Like, so part of this, I guess, is you go, okay, what skill set do I have that I can teach people? You outline the course. I mean, this is what we do in Captivating Content, right? In our
Mm-hmm.
event, we're kind of like, okay, let's outline it. Let's block it all out. Then you come into a studio, you're going to shoot it. You're going to have to edit the videos, and eventually you're going to have to upload them somewhere, whether it's Kajabi or Thinkific, or could be YouTube unlisted, even if it was like your very first course. But like, once you have the course done, how do you sell the actual course? Like, what are all the things that let's talk about what you did in that
Okay.
first one, and then what you do
Mm-hmm.
now, because you didn't do any paid acquisition before.
And I will say, in the marketing map, you only see me during the welcome video. The rest of the time, it's PowerPoint presentations with my voice, because I
Mm,
created it all at home, and my neighbor's dog barks a lot. So I had to create these videos at like 1 a.m. So I was in my room
interesting.
recording with my voice. I would mess up. So if with ScreenFlow, you can record your whole screen, I would have a PowerPoint. If I didn't like how something sounded, I'd stop, re-record it, and then you can edit everything out. You can edit out your your mistakes. You get really close to a microphone, suddenly every breath you intake sounds so loud. So you
Yep.
can edit all of that stuff out. So the way that I did it is I did a webinar funnel first. And I had read everything, Jeff Walker's launch book, everything that said like do a 10-day, 14-day launch. And I just knew that wasn't enough time for my audience. So I actually launched for 6 weeks. And every week I would teach a live webinar, because I'm really good live and I wanted to serve them, answer all their questions. And so I would market the live webinar on Instagram, which is where most of my following is, and to my email list. And every week I got on and did a live webinar, and I closed some of those webinars at $40,000 at the end of it, with people buying the product.
And so you're saying that's the same webinar repeated 6 times, or
Yeah.
6 different, okay,
No, the
once a
same
week.
webinar. And I just got people on there live. And here's the crazy thing, you guys. I didn't have the course created at the time I started selling it,
Mm-hmm.
because I think all of us have a course or something inside of us, but it is always takes the back, we just always put it off in terms of other work. And I knew if I had sold it, I would make it. So I not only sold the course for 6 weeks, I took 6 weeks to make it.
Uh-huh. Oh, so you were making it during that time that you were
Yeah.
selling it. You were
Yeah.
actually
And I
working on
got
it.
their questions. Like I had it outlined. I knew what I was doing, but with more of their questions, I was like, oh, I should add that in. Oh, that needs to be added in. And then I would just create videos and content every night. Like, it was crazy. It was crazy. I still
And your
can't believe
webinar,
that.
okay, so your webinar. So this is like classic stuff, and this is classic phase 2 brand builder stuff too, right? Is like we're all about the webinar funnel. You've got some traffic sources, you
Mhm.
drive them to a webinar, you rock their world, like give, and
Mhm.
then you tell them what you have available. Like it's not rocket science. If
Yeah.
you know something and you serve people and you create reciprocity, like you're going to sell some of these if you're teaching on something that you should be teaching on, like something that you know something about. But the webinar itself, did you create like fancy slides for it and
Mhm.
all of that stuff? Did you take the time to create like a nice webinar slide deck?
Yeah, here's the thing about photographers, and knowing your audience is so helpful.
Yeah,
Photographers are very much about aesthetic. So I don't do like these masculine click funnel type things. Mine are very beautiful. They're very much photography heavy. They all have a strong brand. From the way I present my fonts, like I feel like the visual identity of my brand is one of the top that I have seen and
it
very
is. It's
consistent. So
really, really
my
good.
slides are gorgeous and they show compelling images. I talk about, how I took these images, working with Harper's Bazaar in Thailand and all of these things that people, not to brag, but to show this is what you can do when you build your business in this way. So yes, I had beautiful slides and I really taught something in the webinar that wasn't in the course, but very much served them and made them want more. And it really gave them the experience of, oh my gosh, if I just got this much information off of D'Arcy, off 60 minutes, what could I get from an entire course? And that's
Mm-hmm.
the way I've always run my webinars is I want people to feel like what they got off my webinar, they would have literally paid at least $300 of information for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that we feel the same way. Like it's our philosophy has never been tease them, don't give them anything and make them buy. It's the
No.
inverse. It's like over deliver. And in fact, we for us, Grant Cardone has his 10x rule. For us, the 10x rule that I think about is deliver 10 times the amount of value in advance of what you're asking them to pay.
Yeah.
And then, it's like exactly what you're saying when they're going, man, I've gotten so much already. Like, how could I not buy from this person? So I love that. But that was it. There weren't Facebook ads. Like in your case, you had an organic audience between Instagram and email that you had built up. And you just said, hey, come check this out. The only thing you really designed was like that first slide deck. And then you had the outline of the course clearly. And then you were designing the course on the fly as you went along.
And I think I used my sense of humor in Instagram stories. So I called it magic marketing and I photoshopped myself in with a picture of Magic Mike, which Rory, you probably do not know this movie, but it
Oh,
was a
I
big
know
hit
this
with a lot
movie.
of my
I
audience.
was almost cast for it in fact,
Okay. Yes, I
but
could see that.
they
So
they weren't willing to pay me enough money for my abs, so I was like,
so,
nah.
so I think I use my humor. I use my compellingness. I went on live and invited people there, made sure that they wouldn't want to miss it. And that's the one thing about my audience. Everybody can create a course, but I think once you sell a course and people do not give good feedback and you kind of missed your boat or you didn't
Mm,
over deliver or you sold a course you had no business teaching and you didn't have enough experience, there are a lot of people in the industry, and when people buy from me they're like, I've been burned before, and I really think having a high standard, if you're going to become, like you said, your reputation. So I make sure
mm-hmm,
every course, I don't make sure it's perfect because then I never put it out, but I make sure that like it is what I know I can teach, that I'm very good at it. I'm organized. Organizing the information is huge for people as you teach. And I've learned from you, making sure you have organized information that is easily obtained, and ingested by people so they can take it away and change a behavior. That I learned that changed behavior from you at your captivating content. I have been doing it. I just didn't realize I was
mm-hmm.
changing a behavior. And that's really key for courses. You want people to come away transformed.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, it's kind of like the best marketing ever is when your students actually change their actual behavior, because then they're thinking about you and they're doing things and they're telling people. So I really, really love that. So that was how you launched the first one. Now, what happens after that? Like, how often have you launched? Do do you do paid traffic now? And I mean, yeah, I mean, at $1,500, like, you don't have to sell too many of those things. Most people, in order to quit their job, kind of a thing. You could, if you're good at building an audience and doing it consistently, like, so what happens after that first launch?
Yeah, so I think what's really important after that first launch is to understand your content calendar. So at the beginning of each year, I map out my exact sell dates, like what am I selling, so that I can pre-plan the content that I'm putting out that goes along with it. So for example, my next big course that I'm launching, it's a new course. I'm launching it in May. That means everything from March and April is content that helps people see, oh my gosh, I will eventually need this course. So I think planning out your content, selling 3 to 4 times a year, not being afraid to sell. I was on a coaching call with actually some people that we know about courses, and somebody said, I don't want to be annoying when I sell. And women are the only ones who ask me that question. No man is ever like, I don't want to be annoying when I sell. And I think, if you're really offering a service, then selling is part of that. So I make sure I sell about 4 times a year. And a mistake that I made was trying to sell too many things at once. I remember I had
Mm.
a course I was launching, a group coaching program I was launching, and an in-person retreat. And I needed to sell them all at the same time. That was a horrible thing. It was really hard to sell any of them well. And I did that last year accidentally. I was like, oh my
Mm.
gosh, we planned too many launches at once. So this year, we're very careful. I have exactly the dates where I'm selling things. So from that, you can keep selling one signature course if you want. Like Marie Forleo's model, she sells B School every March. She then does live calls with it for 6 weeks. And the rest of the year, she's putting out free content that drives people to trust her to then join B School. I love teaching, so I have a lot of courses. I put out one that was cheaper. It was $149, and it answered a very niche question. It was how to prepare proposals. I do custom proposals for all my luxury clients, how to prepare those to make sure that you book that client, how to give them, like you call it, a compelling offer to make sure you book that client, and how to make sure that proposal speaks to them. And that course has been really, really powerful. And so, yeah. And then
Are
I
more
drive. Okay, please.
are most of your courses towards that lower? Are most of your courses like south of a couple $100, or is it just kind of like all over the place?
Yeah, I have. So with my product value ladder, which is how do your courses rank? I have 149, I have two 149s, and then I have the 1400. So now I'm creating the 497. And I think a 497 course is a really sweet spot because people will be willing to spend that much. It's not 1,000, right? So many people talk themselves out of selling 1,000. But it is enough that you can make a really good launch out of it. And that's the one I'm putting a lot of paid ads. I haven't put paid ads behind the 49, and I haven't put paid ads behind the 149. When we relaunched the marketing map, I had hands off, did nothing, one funnel with Facebook ads, and launched it again. So that
This
was
is the
really good.
1497 one you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then give us a sense of that, right? So yeah, and one reason, like we would tell people, it's kind of hard to run like an evergreen paid ad campaign on a course that's south of maybe $200 because
Mm.
the cost per acquisition, the price is so low. It's hard to break even. Now, when you look at the lifetime value of that customer, if you've got that kind of sophisticated tracking on the back end, it could still make sense because you'll escalate them over time. But just on that one funnel alone, which is really what we want to do with paid paid acquisition is
Yes.
if we can at least make money on that very first buy, then everything from that point in the future is gravy. And it's like you can spend as fast as you can to acquire new email addresses and stuff. So, but the $14.97 one, that one is super valuable. You've proven that you've got a webinar that will sell that. So give us an idea of like, what do you expect from like a closing percentage? Like how many people register for one of these webinars?
Mm-hmm.
How many show up? How many actually buy? How long does it take? And then, like at the end of the day, what percentage of people might actually buy something at that price point?
Yeah. So the rule of thumb is that you will sell from 8 to 12% of the people who are on the webinar. I remember, I think it was Russell Brunson said, if you sell over 12%, email me right away because I need to know what you're doing. And he sells a lot of things. So I have a really high close rate. So I have had a few webinars
This
where I
is
have
on a
closed
live. This is
on
on
a
a live
live. When I
webinar.
do live, I sell better. That's why I like to do 5 or 6 lives, because then I choose the one where I really nailed it. And that's the one I put for the replay. So when we relaunched the marketing map a year later, well, actually, we did it 6 months later. I think we needed to do it a year because my audience hadn't grown enough, but we relaunched it for 10 days and it made 60K in 10 days. And I only put $1,000 behind the ads. So that's not too bad. That was like, a nice 10-day thing. And I did nothing for that one, but I closed at about 12%, I would say.
Okay.
I've had one webinar and I think it was just a really engaged audience where I closed at 15. And then I had one webinar, where I closed, I think at 8, and that felt like the biggest failure. It's really hard to feel like, how to pick yourself back up after a webinar because you do put so much into it. So you have to give yourself.
Now, is this 8 out of 100 people, or is this 80 out of 1,000 people? Like
Yeah, I
how
usually
many?
have about 500 people on the webinars.
So that means like 1,000 are registering.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So you'll have like
1,000 to 1,400, and then they'll rewatch. About 20% rewatch, maybe 15. Not rewatch, but watch it. They don't come on live.
they
You lead
watch the
them through that
replay,
funnel. Mm-hmm. But I
right?
don't sell as well on the replays. Because you want to give those bonuses live. So when they're watching it live or the first time they see it, you give them access to bonuses. And I've heard that the bonuses are almost as important as the course. So making sure you have bonuses that truly are what your absolute ideal client wants and cannot say no to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And I think yeah. So you have like 1,400 register, 500 show up, and then so 10% would be 50 people. So you might sign up somewhere around 50 people out of that
Mm-hmm.
live. Then you'll have another 20%. So maybe another 200 people watch the replay, and then you'll get like some smaller
And
fraction
then
of
like
those people.
10% of them as well. Yeah, 8 to 10. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then did that, and these aren't evergreen, so these aren't always running. You've always done like a couple launches a year, and you've done like a launch model.
Yeah, the profitable portfolio, which I'm creating now, that one will be my first evergreen because it's the perfect formula for evergreen. It doesn't need a big emotional hit to buy. It's a very technique-based course. And I think sometimes we have these technique-based courses that sell really easily, like I'm teaching editing, I'm teaching this, whereas some people try and sell mindset or grand ideas or these bigger kind of things. And that, I think you really do need that one-to-one connection with your client. So the profitable portfolio, you could know me or not know my reputation and still understand the value that's being led here just from seeing my work and my accolades. My list of publications already show this woman is qualified to teach this. When you get up to into 1,500, 2,000, my group coaching is 4,500 a person. They really need to have that experience with you. And most of my coaching clients have been following me for a while and really know and trust me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then Facebook ads and stuff. So are you doing a lot of that now, or is that more like you're learning that space in terms of driving?
Yeah, I'm really good at Facebook ads. I know when to launch them. I haven't run them full time, but we did recently, starting in January, start a lead magnet that's really great. It's for teaching people how to have an epic website, 10 things to have, 10 things not to get rid of immediately. And that's my website. I relaunch it every single year. It's a launch that, having launches in your business that people look forward to, I think is something that can really build your brand and get people who may not have bought from you previously to buy from you because they get really drawn into the story of your business and how it serves them. So we do that as a lead magnet that we've started since January. And then with the profitable portfolio, I have a budget, usually around 3 to 5 grand a month for where my business is and how I want to scale it, that I'll be doing ads for. And this one, I'm going to do the launch and everything straight off the bat with ads.
And so that's like for 6 weeks. It's like three
Mhm.
to 5 grand over the course of 6 weeks.
Maybe I would say 3 to 5 grand a month. Yeah. So if I go into 6 weeks, I was planning on doing it for a month and then taking it into the Evergreen funnel and see how that does.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, I know I'm excited because you haven't been through our phase 3 event yet. I don't think. Have you?
No, I need
Yeah.
to sign up for that one.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one where we get into all of Facebook ads and Google and SEO and like all the paid traffic stuff. So where do you want people to go, D'Arcy? That's a good segue. Like, where should they go? That lead magnet sounds pretty cool.
Yeah,
About
I think they should
10
grab the
tips to me.
lead magnet. So go to
Yeah.
darcybenincosa.com and hit on freebies and it'll be there.
Uh-huh. I like it. And so
Very
just one last.
long Italian last name, sorry.
That's great. So just I have just like an honest question for you. This is my last question about uh you've been very successful in your vertical. You've also been successful at teaching people how to do this. You have a great personal brand. Um why did you get involved with Brand Builders Group as a client? Like, you do really well at so much of this stuff. And I also met you somewhere else, and you were involved. You were a paying client there as well. And so, like, clearly there is something that, even though you do a lot of this really well, like, you really believe in. I mean, you've said, you're a great teacher, but like, have you always been into learning as well, like that, and personal development and self-development? Like, I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, no, that's such a good question. I met you at Lewis House's mastermind, and we met the first night over dinner, and I just really liked how you presented yourself with me. And then when you taught us the next day, I thought, this is a radically amazing teacher. And as a teacher myself, who I
Mm,
feel is radically amazing, I have very high standards for teachers, and there are not a lot who compel me to join their program. So even though you met me in a mastermind, that was my first time, and I'm really picky about who I learn from. Where I felt that brand builders could really help me is to pivot a little bit from where I have been, and I want to pivot into a new area as well, a different type of client, in a way, starting over. So I have my beautiful photography audience, but I think all of us expand and grow, and we learn to serve those ones really well. Like my photography business and the way I serve them is almost on autopilot. I'm just so knowledgeable and in that space. But as a human, I want to expand and grow. And there's
mm,
a new book that I want to write that has nothing to do with photography. You
mm.
and I have talked about it. We've already mapped out all the pillars, and I really wanted to pivot into that. And when I heard you talk about business, I knew you were the teacher for me. So it was a very easy yes. I think I went up to you right
Oh.
after you laid out some things. I said, I'm in. What do you offer? Let's do it.
Yeah, you're like, I don't know what, but here's my credit card. Let's do something. And it's been such an honor, and I'm so excited. Oh my gosh, I can't wait for the world to hear about your book. Like, it's so great and awesome. Um, and yeah, and I think you're coming. You're actually coming to our phase 1 event. Is it this week?
No, I did phase one in
Oh, you
January.
did phase one in
Yeah,
January, and then you did
it was.
podcast power, and then captivating content.
And I will say for everybody listening, if you have any desire to pivot from, if you're already a brilliant business person in your niche, but you feel very called, I feel very called that the next phase of my life is going to be dealing more with women's empowerment, body positivity, with a lot of things like that. If you feel called to another evolution of yourself, going back through phase one with fresh eyes. I could do phase one with my photography business with my eyes closed, but it was a challenge while I was there to think of myself in a new way and as a new kind of leader, to do that, because I see my vision for 10 years, and your vision for 10 years was very compelling, and my vision for my 10 years is very compelling as well. So that, I think, is really key with what you're teaching, is it's applicable no matter how much money I've made, no matter how many, what an influencer I am, how many people buy things from me. Going back and starting at the beginning with your idea, with your passion, making sure it's still aligned. That's what Brand Builders has really given to me. Plus, you are the real deal. And I can spot an influencer who is not the real deal from a mile away. And you really resonated with me, and I just know I can learn from you and AJ both. You've been nothing but giving and amazing and wonderful. And I tell everybody I know about you guys.
Well, we're so grateful for that. And I think that to us is like the highest compliment, is people like you who are getting value from what we're doing. And then for you to come today and just drop, like, I think we could turn this recording, like we could literally turn this recording into a course if we wanted to. Like this 1 hour could easily be at least a couple $100 course of what you've shared, of just how you price it and what's included and how you sell it, and different models and how you started. I mean, this has been so extraordinarily generous. And I know you like peeled off with a bunch of people who were at our event and just like poured into them for an hour. And that is just, I know that's who you are and that's your heart. And so we love that. And we're just excited to be a part of what happens with, D'Arcy Benincosa and next generation. So
yeah, I'm excited too. And I will just end with the listeners with this. If you truly feel called to teach and to serve, courses can be such a beautiful way. And I still have such real connection with everyone buying my course. And it's really created, there's nothing better than seeing someone have epic success and grow their business because of something you were able to teach them, because of an aha you were able to give them. And I believe that there is enough for me to be an amazing wedding photographer, and anybody else who has that heart's desire to be a wedding photographer. I do not believe that me teaching this stuff means that there's any less for me to have. And that has been such a beautiful realization. And nothing I love more than success stories of my clients who have taken and gone through my courses and have restructured their business to make more money and have more impact and have more passion. So that's the power of teaching and being a powerful teacher, and courses are the best way to do that.
there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. D'Arcy Benincosa. D'Arcy, thank you so much. We wish you all the best.
You too.